Checking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 5, 8, 7, 3.
I thought that was Momo.
Oh my god. I thought Momo sucked into helium.
Sound like that?
It's going to be very flashback heavy, and we're going to be kind of delving into things that have already happened and memories that exist in the characters' backstories and things that haven't happened. That may not make sense off on the top level, but I'm just going to let you know that if you want to lean into it and you feel like, oh, well, this is how things are now or whatever, if somebody were to go back, if some really, really just anal person gets a hold of this podcast for whatever reason and starts to write their own mystery, like if they go full X-Files and have a lineup board, I guarantee you they're not going to do it more than I have. But if they do, then they're going to find the secrets that are already in the campaign that allow that to happen.
If the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom can still be thriving, like, we'll be okay, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're not hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! I'm so excited.
So airline food. Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Airlines. What are those? They're still around? Post virus. I didn't think we had those.
Firewood is what airlines are.
You know that the food tastes bad in the air because the altitude changes your taste buds and taste. So it's not actually bad food. It's just your.
That sounds like an excuse, but yeah.
I mean, they're also crappy. It's just worse.
I don't know. I mean, the cookies are great.
I love trains.
I love trains.
I've never ridden on a train before.
I wish they weren't so expensive.
Yeah. Strangely expensive and also just really inefficient. But yes, lovely.
But I'll take the inefficiency over being comfortable any fucking day.
Okay.
Plus, they make it feel more like actual travel too.
Yeah, not like you're being
Why are we all
herded.
ragging on trains?
No, I love trains, but you doesn't have trains.
One of the first conversations in real life with Matt happened on a train, and it felt like we were meeting for the first time, and it was really nice and holds a special place in my heart.
And were you eating biscuits?
I gave him a maple cookie.
So yes.
So you were.
A cookie?
Yeah.
I think we held hands for the first time on that train ride.
Oh, that made me gayer.
All right, my friends. I know we could do this. We could do this all day, and I love that we are friends and that we wish to just hang out. But we are here to Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Shut the
Yes.
up.
Let's make that happen. Sorry to ring the school bell here. Okay, I am going to go ahead and start recording on this end. And Momo, we are already recording on that end, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Everybody can see Waterdeep, right?
On what?
Yes.
On
Yes.
Yes. Whoa. Whoa. Yes.
Ooh. Wow. Come on, Sam.
The Hunchback
Good
of
old
Notre Dame.
days.
Okay, here we go. The children that were scattered about the floor of the common room looked at the old man, waiting for a tale of faraway lands and heroic exploits. I suppose we were at the beginning then. The underdark, the grove, the sea, the palace, they all converged right there.
Harold, have you ever seen so many different kinds of people in such a big place? How hard could it be to find somebody that knows where Tailwind is?
You're a miracle, boy.
I shake my head and quietly to myself say, there's no such thing as miracles.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you a running start. I'll count to 30. 1, 2.
30, and then I'm gonna run at him and attack him.
You told me your history. I was born on that boat. Huh? That ship that your friend is dissecting.
I absolutely hate how chipper you always are.
And it'd be a good look on you, though.
If it's a riddle, I want to solve it. If it's a lock, I want to open it.
I'm a holy woman, and I'm looking for things that were taken from me and my people.
They could not begin to fathom the situation that they found themselves in. we are gathered again. The world of Abir Terrell is a magnificent place. It stretches as far as the eyes can see and holds more adventure and magic than most realms in the prime material plane. Within it, heroes have risen, villains have met them. The sky was once filled with both dragons and the fear and hope that they brought with them. The story of Abir Terrell is very long. In the sky, at night, all of the stars told the story of that long history. The calendars are many. The Dale Reckoning tells the tale that many know. When the gods warred against each other and the realms were split in two. Somewhere within the Dale lands, there is a village. That village is small, inconsequential, and forgotten by the bustling of many of the larger realms and kingdoms within Abir Terrell. The roads that split off to the north and the south carry goods and services with them. But those roads are traveled by others. On these roads, the hard-packed dirt under their feet, under the hooves of their horses, under the aging wheels of their carriages and carts. These roads carry with them the stories that become legend, that eventually find their way into the skies and become part of the history of the Forgotten Realms. Upon that road is a small carriage. The back is modestly packed with a few crates, boxes, bags, pulled by a simple gray workhorse. And the figure on the cart drives it forward. A man with a gray beard and a simple woolen cloak pulled close to him. He enters into the small village and pulls close to a large tavern with a blue shingled roof, with bricks made of clay that in the light of the day shine with a certain freshness, although they are quite old. Removing himself from his carriage, the man tethers his horse, gathers a few simple things, and walks through the door of the tavern. In the early morning light, the tavern is very quiet. There's very little happening at this time, although there is a tavern keep. She absent-mindedly polishes a number of tankards that are laid out before her, and in the hearth burns a fire. The old man makes his way there, having been in this tavern more times than he could count. Working his way to the fire, he sits himself there and produces a long, spindly pipe, packs the tobacco within it, and lights it with a tinder twig, looking into the fire. Without having said a word, the tavern keep has produced a tray, and on the tray is a small plate of meat, cheeses, and hardtack bread. and a warm cup of wine. The tavern keep sets it next to the old man and smiles. And there, the old man sits, producing plumes of smoke in that well-appointed, simple tavern. It is the tavern that has been the center point of this village for as many years as anyone can remember. It functions as a town hall. All of the village's business happens here. Weddings, funerals, matters of great importance to this simple and small place. The farmers gather here to forget themselves and to immerse themselves in the stories of the world beyond their borders. One that is filled with dragons and magic. The moment of silence lingers, and motes of dust float within the air. The morning light streams through the cloudy glass of the tavern. Now then, how did it go? The memory of it is fleeting. What would you like to hear first? Perhaps a tale of the Underdark? A place where hope is lost? Or mayhaps something more cheerful? Something that brings a smile to the face? The groves of the elves ever meet? Perhaps magic and grace? Would you like to hear about the wars near Neverwinter? Smoke and mirrors, blood and fire. Would you like to hear about those who strove too far and within their own power were destroyed? Or would you like to hear about heroes who rose above their circumstances and found within themselves a great well of power, one that brought hope to not only themselves, but those who witnessed their acts of heroism, courage, and strength? There are many stories. They stretch on as far as my old memory can remember. You see, this world was once two, and one before. Bir Terrell was sundered not once but twice. First by the High Elves, and then by Ao himself. You see, we live in fantastic times. We are surrounded by magic, and while life is often hard, the world holds great hope. Perhaps you would like to hear the tale of Juniper Creed, and how she used the power of her very heart to speak to the dragon armies and rise them from their slumber. Or about the young alchemist who thought that he knew so much that he could outthink the gods themselves. Maybe we revisit the tale of Hawk. We can, of course, explore the underworld, the shady and the slum-filled places of Waterdeep. Yes, most of our tale will begin there. Saray, that is the subject of some dark speculation, but as you've heard in my tales 1,000 times before, Not all is as it appears. And there is light in the shadow if you wish to see it. We could sail across those deep and frightening seas, face off against Captain Balthazar Graves. An epic battle indeed. The clashing of steel and swords on those decks, withered by the salt and the winds. When young Calder found that not everything could be defeated with the wit of his tongue. And that sometimes things that are lost come back to us tenfold. That family isn't always about blood. But I know the story that you want to hear. Yes, I've told it to you before. Princess Daedalus, heir to ever meet. That is perhaps the most complicated and tragic story of them all. My heart can only bear to tell it so many times before it breaks into 1,000 pieces. We all know that greatness does not come from our actions. They come from our heart, which leads us to action. Oftentimes, those in power make choices that they would have liked to have not made. And sometimes curses are the greatest of all of our blessings. I'll tell you about that elven princess, if you'll do me one kindness. Listen. Listen to the story and remember the tale for what it lends us. Tell me what part of this you wish to hear, and I will relay it. And the old man continued to drawl upon his pipe, and the smoke had filled the tavern. And as he looked out, the sun had gone, and it was evening, and the tavern was full, and a row of young children sat listening to the bard's tale. Tell me what you wish to hear. The city of Waterdeep stretches out across the Sword Coast, standing vigil as the rest of Faerun stretches out beyond it. The traffic of 1,000 ships makes its way here. Its harbors carry with it all of the goods and services that are needed within the rest of these lands. Waterdeep arose on ancient and forgotten lands, but now stands a modern marvel of these times. Buildings stacked upon buildings and shingled roofs that lead out to the great walls that surround it protectively. In the air, griffins, agents of the city watch that guard and shield the small people of this place. There is intrigue and murder and mystery here. This city is of great power to those who would politically control it. Blocking the sun in places of Waterdeep, enormous statues stand. Statues of armored knights, frozen in time, taller than the very buildings themselves. These magical constructs protect Waterdeep in times of the greatest need, and when called upon, come to life. There are wizards and warriors that walk through the streets, and rogues that hide within the shadows of this great city of Faerun. Ruled by the masked lords, any leader of Waterdeep is hidden. None know their true face, for both their protection and the protection of the city itself. The leadership can contain a poor baker as easily as it could a grand noble. The streets are full of life. Very little surprises the people of Waterdeep. The Dragonborn walk next to gnomes, and to see an elf is not an oddity. Humans by far are the majority. However, there are every shade and size of person here. All of them have gathered to this harbor, to this port in the storm. And sitting in a place called Anchor's Rest is a magnificent and forgotten galleon ship that sits once dry docked, now toppled over on the wreckage of a burnt out building. This galleon ship has a beautiful figurehead carved into it. A merfolk with her arms outstretched to the sky. And as the rain falls upon that figurehead, it trails across the delicate face of the sculpture. It looks as if the merfolk is crying. A figure stands, looking at that ship. A silhouette lit by the glowing streetlights. A long coat, collar turned upward against the rain. As the figure looks on, they hold in their hand a brass compass. They snap it shut and place it back within their pocket. Deep within the hidden catacombs of another place, our heroes have found sanctuary. They have found a place to hide from the enemies that surround them. Their time in the city has been short, but it has been far from uneventful. Huddled into the dark of a crypt filled with dust and the remains of the dead, long gone from this world, is a small fire, and that fire crackles with warmth.
You gotta stop with that. I've just fixed your voice box. If you end up bursting it just because you like to sing song, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna fucking take it out altogether. You hear me? Yes.
Busby, the construct, cocks its head at you the way that Busby looks at you. You can't help but wonder if Busby is able to feel. You feel a presence, Hawk. It's always close, but perhaps here, within these crypts, it's even closer. You feel your patron, her power. You feel the echo of that dark, shadowed place that you saw in your visions. and you feel the Shadowfell close to you. But it's different than it's been in the past. Before, you desperately clung to this power. It saved your life. Now, however, after all this time, since you emerged from the Underdark, you've begun to accept it. And although you can't talk about it openly, you see something in her face, a certain haunted look that is very familiar to you, an emptiness. And as you sit at the fire across from you, that very secretive elf, Saray, looks off into the distance, not warming herself by the fire like the others. She sits in a corner and stares into the dark places of the crypt, absent-minded, unaware of your gaze. Your sword at your side, Hawk. It recognizes the power of the shadow. It knows when the energies of the Shadow Weave are present. That force, that dark companion to the weave itself. Shar and Saloon, in their great wars, created this diametrically opposed force of magic. And you have become keenly aware of that which most spend their lives fearing and avoiding. It's one of the reasons that you and your companions are in this crypt now. Not just for sanctuary, but for the knowledge that the Graves Master holds. Saray stares into the darkness of the crypt, beyond the corridors that you have been told to stay within. You are beneath the city of the dead. It is mausoleum upon mausoleum that creates a city within the city. However, the residents of this place are not quite as active as those within the rest of Waterdeep. And here, underground, deep within the catacombs that stretch out endlessly beneath the city, you feel at home. And there in the shadows of that place, you hear the growls of the manticore. And you can see it in the shadow, though you know it's not there, pacing back and forth, as if it were still behind the barred cage that you discovered it in. Juniper, describe yourself.
She holds herself very strongly. She has deep ebony skin, almost like it's been kissed by the sun god.
Sitting next to her by the fire is a shield. But not a shield that is of any like that anyone around the fire had ever seen before. It is made from living wood and looks as though it is a shingle of bark that has been peeled off of a monstrously large tree. It is covered in moss and small growing vines. The bark is craggy and brown, gray, and green. And it forms a face of a wizened old man with a long beard, a hooked nose, and kind, gentle eyes. But there is a strength to the gaze that you know hides power. And those of you that allow your eyes to work across the shield oftentimes feel as if the shield is looking back and judging you. The Oaken Lord does not ask you to erect buildings within cities to spread the word of his wisdom and acceptance of his strength. The Oaken Lord asks you to pray in the open, with the leaves and the grass beneath your feet, with mountains overhead and a blue sky. And this group, these misfits, your eye moves across their faces and falls upon the small form. Shivering in the cold, you see the breath of her mouth as she exhales. You worry about her more than most. Doddle, describe yourself.
I imagine the smoke from the fire is getting in Doddle's eyes, so she reaches her small little green hand with tiny little claws up, takes her large round-rimmed glasses off her face and rubs her abnormally large blue eyes.
Next to you, from somewhere beneath your blankets and cloak, a chicken, brown and brightly plumed, appears before you.
Hello, Harold. How are you doing? Are you cold, friend? I'm afraid I don't speak chicken, but just in case, I'm gonna take my scarf and put it around Harold and cuddle him a little bit.
You wrap her in a scarf and pick her up and hold her within your arms, warming her, and she very quickly quiets down and soon enough is asleep, curled within your tiny arms. She has been with you since you found yourself here, not long after you made your way into these strange lands for the first time. Not only do you find yourself in strange lands, but you are within a strange body that does not belong to you. You woke that morning within your mother's palace to discover that you had been transformed into something else. Something that the elven people could never love. And though your most ardent wish had ever been to be the leader that they needed most, those dreams were now shattered. The House of Teowin, now a fading memory. You have been scared, but you have found these people. And sitting around the fire are the faces of those that have saved you. And that you have saved. As you all look upon each other and the fire continues to burn, the sound of a bottle clattering across the stairs far deeper in one of the corridors breaks the silent moment. And from the shadows stumbles a young, handsome sailor. Calder, describe yourself.
Well, Cal is in his early 20s at best, like pushing 21 is pushing it. He's wearing pretty simple sailor's garb. It's really basic except for his coat, which looks a little bit uncharacteristically nice. It almost looks like a cabin boy just stole a coat on his way out.
You've been in Waterdeep lying low, so you quickly made your way back underground rather than call attention from the town guard. It seems that your new companions are deeply involved with the inner workings of the city already. But according to them, they had only been here a short time. And around the fire, you see them sullenly warming themselves as the crackle of flame lights each of their faces. They all look back to you. Strangely, Calder, the walk back seems like a dream. You don't remember everything. You don't think that you drank that much. After all, you and rum are old friends. So here you are. Empty bottle of rum in hand, standing in a crypt underneath a city of the dead. The guest of a wholly terrifying man. What do you do?
Cal's gonna eat. Straight trays of food. Like, yeah.
You grab a hunk of bread off the tray, and it is very slightly moldy. The cheese is very hard, and the meat is somewhat gray. This is the first time that you've had interaction with Graves Master Veer, and you've discovered that his idea of hospitality is lacking. And the food is almost as disconcerting as your surroundings.
He's gonna look at the food, take another swig of his flask, and then still just start eating it.
Cal, weren't you just in town? Why don't you grab food in town? It's way better than the stuff here.
You know, that would require quite a bit more forethought than I generally put effort into.
Okay.
So.
Calder speaks. MacLeod, make a wisdom saving throw.
Jumping right on in, all right.
What did I already fuck up?
9.
Fire burns on the horizon. There is an explosion. A fireball has been alit somewhere in the distance. It's muddy and dark, MacLeod. You're covered in the blood of others as you have desperately been working to keep them alive. This is the War of Smoke and Mirrors, when the illusionists rebelled and Neverwinter was beset by evil mages. You are fighting with the city, not only defending the city itself, but the territories and the small folk that surround that great, sprawling metropolitan area in the north. It is cold and your breath comes out in plumes. You are dressed heavily in the gear that has been assigned to you. The small mechanical bee hums nearby in your ear. I need you to make a medicine check.
20. Boy, none that, but still 20. Boy's working.
Yes. The small halfling form in front of you has been badly burnt. Body racked with flame. You have managed to bandage and apply a salve that you have mixed together, and immediately the wounds begin repairing themselves, but you don't know if it's enough. You're trying to keep them alive, and their breathing is ragged. Their eyes are glossed over in white as the fire has burnt them so badly that you believe that they've been blinded. All you've heard for the last 5 minutes are the tortured screams of this small warrior. The soldiers march behind you. You hear shouts, another explosion. Onward! Gather yourselves! The nobility and the strength of Neverwinter cannot be shattered. Fight! Trumpets and drums. The march of war. You covered in blood and mud, and all of the glory that you thought you would find here, shattered in 1,000 pieces before you, as the halfling screams, hoping desperately to cling to life. You've done everything you can. You're just not sure if it's enough. back to the fire. Calder, the food is atrocious, but you've got just enough rum left on the back of your throat that you can't really taste it. That very careful burn has always shielded you from the horrid food upon a ship. This isn't all that different. When you're on sea, you have to eat what's given to you. And usually it's so covered in salt you can't taste it anyway. So even the mold here is a welcome flavor. Hawk, what are you doing?
Can I tell that Maglow's kind of feeling and looking off right now?
Make an insight check.
That's a 4.
As you look at Maglow, you just feel frustrated. Your mind travels across all of the conflict and the things that you've said to each other, the harsh words, and also the friendship. But it's not an easy relationship. And he's hard to read. As much as he talks, he doesn't always say what really is happening within his mind. So, Ray, it's quiet again, and you see that Calder has arrived. He's shoveling disgusting-looking meat into his mouth and holds an empty bottle of rum. He reeks of the tavern's pipe smoke and alcohol.
I'm just observing and just paying attention to my surroundings and, making sure no one's going to creep up or surprise us in any way.
As is my house rule, I will be making all the perception checks. And it sounds like you're asking for perception. You have a plus, I believe, 5. Is that correct?
Perception? I have a plus 8.
Oh. In that case, let me tell you what's happening in the crypt, Saray.
Need a floor plan?
There is the quiet shuffle of feet somewhere above in a stone corridor. You know that it is the kind of stumbling gate of Besmit, servant to the Graves Master. There is a spiral stone staircase that leads upward towards the locked gate of iron that all of you are held behind. Your sanctuary, in many ways, feels like a prison. The fire is crackling, and the rest of the crypt is quiet, save the sound of rats picking through the darkness, fighting amongst each other in the walls. Everything here is quiet. But there's something about the way that Calder is standing that seems off to you. You can't put a finger upon it, but something isn't right.
I just pictured Calder standing like Donald Trump. His hands on a completely different plane.
I mean, I just thought he was drunk, but...
Wow. That is what you thought. You thought that Calder was drunk. But now you're starting to wonder if Calder's drunk at all. There's a stability in the way that those boots are planted. And as someone who has spent her entire life understanding the physical form of this world and how to manipulate the movement of the humanoid body, you have studied the stance of many warriors. And even a drunken sailor who knows their way around a rum cask doesn't stand as such a sturdy, well-placed stance as Calder is standing in this moment.
So it's like he's standing too well.
Exactly. But acting drunk.
Calder, say the alphabet backwards for me.
I don't say that.
Can anyone do that?
goblin is setting up a sobriety checkpoint.
I need you to do this with your head. That's what they do, right? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
I actually made, if you wanna like have a sobriety test, I actually made like a small thing that you breathe in, and it says what your blood alcohol content is. It would take me like an hour or two to build it, so it probably will be pretty useless by the time. But
is this in
future,
game?
guys?
The best.
Is this
in game?
Yeah.
Fuck it, yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a deep breath and let's pull us back to the fire. So Ray, you notice this, and Calder's shoveling gray aged meat into his mouth, and now working on some semi-molded hard cheese.
How does Calder smell?
There's the smell of tavern, pipe smoke, of the streets of Waterdeep.
I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna mention this to anyone. I'm just going to keep watching.
Calder, what bonus do you have to perception? Are you
2.
+2? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that Saray is watching you quietly from further away from the fire in the shadows.
Can I notice him notice? Can I roll a...
I don't need you to make a roll. You notice the noticing. All right.
I'm just gonna smile.
He's not gonna change anything. That would be more suspicious, he figures. So he just, continues to eat his slimy ham and.
All right.
Considering that Hawk's dreaded enemy is in the city right now and he knows how it operates, I can imagine that he's fairly paranoid right now, especially the fact that this new person was just out by himself. Could Hawk insight check Calder?
You may.
Awesome.
What do you do with a drunk
Oh, that's 21.
To death.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, 21
Man.
is great.
Calder's getting read to death.
Right.
You're the new one in the pack, so all the dogs have to come up and smell and make sure you're cool.
Hawk, this young man is hiding something and isn't as drunk as they appear. You don't have any physical understanding of that. There's nothing about what they're doing that tells you that he's concealing something, but you just have a feeling.
Hawk's going to walk up to Calder, and he kind of like bends down to be a little bit more at eye level, and he just gives him an up and down look, and he's like a little bit more like uncomfortably close, and he's like, so why would you try to pretend to be drunk in front of us?
Cal is deeply offended. Like, pretend to...
I mean, he's a sailor, and he probably has a reputation to uphold,
Yeah.
I know you just want to be cool, Calder, but it's okay. You can let your guard down a little bit with us, and we promise we won't judge you for not being an alcoholic.
Why are we giving the kid the 3rd degree? You just leave him alone.
June's just giggling.
Normally I'd agree, but unfortunately we have a bit of a slimy, tentacle-faced issue following us right now, and you have to always be certain.
I'm sorry, do you think that I have something to do with the slimy, tentacle-faced issue? Am I a slimy, tentacle-faced issue?
Hawk, Calder has gotten into your face and asked you this question.
Oh.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, no.
Let's see, that is a...
I trust all these wisdom saves that are happening.
18.
18 is very good. You feel woozy for a moment, Hawk. And as you stare at this young man, you turn around. And you're there. Deep in the Underdark. There are soft purple lights that glow above you. The fungus and the crystals that arc with a very faint reminder of light. It's enough that you can see the outlines and shapes around you. And you're dirty, and you're sweating, and you're covered in a thin ooze, a slime that doesn't wash off. You're sticky and exhausted. You don't know how many hours have passed as you have been lost here for so long. The cries of your sister still ring in your ears. Her death at their hand. You see them in front of you, though you know it's just a memory. Their strange, lanky body, holding your sister aloft off the ground as the tentacles writhe off their face, wrapping themselves around her. You hear her crying out. Run! Hawk! Go! Save yourself! I believe in you. You remember walking into Waterdeep, your sword on your back, the city stretched out before you. That much is clear. The gates of the southern ward open up, and your eyes alight upon a bustling city. Carriages and horses travel back and forth in the busy streets as merchants go about their daily business. The smells of freshly baked bread.
Fish for sale!
Apples! What are you looking for, lad? Hey, we've got the best silks in all the land! What do you do?
He's definitely panicked by the amount of people in sensory overload. And after he composes himself, he makes his way over to the nearest baker. Do you have any, can I buy some bread?
The old woman with a tight bun of gray hair looks at you with a smile.
Of course, sweetie, I can sell you bread. Well, you look like you've seen a ghost.
Sorry, I just, I haven't been city in a while, so it's a lot right now.
Oh, everyone finds their place in this town. You'll make it, sweetie. What kind of bread would you like?
Just a loaf of whatever you have, I guess. I'm not picky.
I'm gonna give you something special.
Then she turns and she takes a warm pair of loaves of bread and wraps them in a piece of cloth and hands them to you.
Now that's 2 copper. Don't tell anyone I sold it to you so cheap.
I take out 2 copper pieces. Thank you, ma'am.
What's your name?
My name's Hawk.
You're a good lad. I know a good heart when I see one.
And she takes the coins from you and looks at them.
Baldur's Gate? You're from Baldur's Gate?
By way of Neverwinter, yeah.
You don't see much of this here. Yeah, the copper spins just the same. Don't worry. Be careful, Hawk.
Thank you, ma'am. Hawk takes his bread and kind of makes his way to an alley, and he bites into it, And for a second, he realizes that it's the first food that wasn't scavenged from the Underdark or like a fungus or berries. And he breaks down.
Make a wisdom save as you cry there.
Is he just crying, eating the bread?
Bread
What
Yeah.
a mood!
in an alleyway? Oh my god.
Not do that?
That's 11.
Yeah.
I just imagine that photo of Keanu Reeves sitting on the bench, like eating an ice cream or whatever, all by himself.
An 11 isn't as good as an 18.
Definitely not.
The water is rushing in the sewers, and your companions are scattered around you. This strange sewer layer that has been constructed by the group that you have come to know as the Grasping Eye. Phineas Fiddlescratch, the very bright-faced and jovial halfling in the patchwork rainbow cloak, has asked you all, for your own good, as you've fallen afoul of this gang, to retrieve something that might help you. Saray has it now, along with that damnable treasure chest that you both are dragging through the sewers.
We need to take this chest.
Why do we need to bring this? Bretta's already dead because of this.
More will be dead if we don't sabotage this gang.
Or do you just want to make money off of this? I'll take whatever you say as honesty. I just need to hear you say it right now.
Think about all of the good that we could do with this money, Hawk.
Can we be having this conversation while walking, please? Can we walk and talk?
Goddle, the water is now almost up to your chin, and you have a very close view at how dire this situation is becoming. The water is rushing in, and somewhere in the distance is MacLeod. Not yet with you.
Where's Maglo?
He was holding them off, those that were following you. You hear their shouts. MacLeod, what do you do?
Mago shuffles around inside of his little medical bag and pulls out random leaves and twigs. He mashes it up, mashes them all up together into a paste and fills a small vial with some sewer water and chucks this potion into the water, casting grease, and then he gets a small tinderbox and lights it so that the grease all sets on fire as the sewer water takes it down toward the people.
The small, glowing orb that is Busby hovers near you. The yellow gem flashing from red to green back to red. Busby's trying to alert you to the presence of others. The door shudders as something on the other side of it strikes it, trying to break through.
Fuck. Okay, boys, do we have any weaknesses in the wall? Anything that we can hit with something powerful enough to bring just the whole wall down?
You begin looking around desperately, and you realize that you can cause a great deal of damage to the tunnel itself with a few well-placed explosives. You have most of the items within your pack, and you begin stumbling through them, mixing concoctions together as the rest of your party pushes forward. They've retrieved the treasure and the box that Phineas Fiddlescratch has requested that you retrieve, but they are slow with all of this heavy treasure with them. The spikes from the traps that have been inlaid into this sewer corridor have done their job, and they have created barriers that are very difficult to navigate as water is rushing in, filling the space. Hawk, make a wisdom save.
That's a dirty 20.
Immediately, you're staring at Calder, and the fire is around you. And for a moment, something seems wrong, but you realize the kid's just drunk.
Sorry, I just need to sit down for a second.
What's wrong?
It's been a long week.
Did I miss something while I was gone? Is everybody okay?
Dotto, make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh boy. Ah! I'm fine.
A 23 is a very good roll.
Good enough?
There's a cold shiver that runs down your spine.
Oh dear.
You're, for a moment, aware that something isn't right. And then you find yourself huddled and cold in the rain, in a forest, deep, deep outside of the city of Waterdeep. Far away from civilization, you are lost. You are wandering, hungry, nearly starving, and alone. You hold your hand out, remembering all the incantations and rituals that were taught to you over the years. In Evermeet, magic is taught to everyone. It is the way of the people, and high elves have always carried this magic within them. It is as natural as breathing air. But not for you. It's never been easy. You hold your hand out, not your hand, but the hand of this small, clawed goblin that you've become. And you focus, desperately crying, as you try to create fire. Make an Arcana roll for me, please.
Okay.
With a disadvantage.
Alright. And boom. Wow.
The natural one.
Yeah, I guess that is.
No.
Wait, I accidentally rolled 3 times.
You still do not roll well with your disadvantage. So while it isn't a catastrophic failure, it is still a failure nonetheless. And as the rain pours down around you and you are soaked, the tattered rags and bits of clothes that you stole from the hold of that ship before you were able to make your way back to land, they reek. And even in the rain, you can smell yourself. You're hungry, and you've been eating whatever berries and twigs and worms you can find. Your mouth is coated with a sick, slimy filth that you've never experienced before. The finery of your home has become an echo that haunts you. And in this moment, your hand is outstretched, and you are willing fire into being. And for the longest time, nothing happens. The elven words pass through your twisted lips, through the sharp teeth that you've had to learn to talk around. All of the teachings, all of the failure of the years, your inability to tap into the weave as all of your people can. In this moment, it becomes a sharp knife that stabs you.
What?
There is no actual stabbing, it's a metaphor. You feel trapped in this moment, unable to escape, and as your hand stretches out, it happens. There's an explosion of fire in front of you. and an arc of blue flame. And you are tossed backwards as you land, tripping over some twigs that were beneath you, and even in the wetness of the rain, the fire takes hold and blazes in front of you. You don't know what happened, but you remember the pain of the failure. You remember being angry. And then this arc of flame erupted from your hand. You don't remember the incantation. You don't remember what you said, but it happened. And now there is fire arcing around you, burning brightly in the middle of this forest.
Oh dear.
Wet, with a smear of the berries that were in your hand across the ground. The light of the fire illuminates the dark forest, and staring out at you are a pair of yellow eyes, watching you as a figure in the trees looks down. What do you do?
I see you! You see that? I can do that to you, but like so much better. Don't mess with me! And then I whisper to myself, because I might cry.
The strange shadow in the trees leaps across a branch and disappears out of sight, and you hear nothing for the longest time. And as you hold your breath as the rain falls around you, something lands behind you.
Ah! I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna firebolt them. Ah!
The arc of fire shoots from your fingertips as now, with fear riding upon your back, you have little problem calling forth the magical energies, and fire shoots out. The figure leaps out of the way back into the darkness, and then slowly starts lurking towards you.
Are you quite finished, little one?
I'm just gonna start crying.
The ragged figure is wearing a cloak and leather armor, and now you see his face. A black cat with yellow eyes that shine in the darkness is walking around you in a circle.
My face goes from fearful to just like very interested.
His tail is moving very, very carefully, and you can see that he's studying you.
You shouldn't eat those berries. They're poisonous.
Oh. Thank you. Are you gonna eat me?
Not today, little one. Not today.
Like another day? Like it's still on the list?
You smell different for a goblin.
I know, I've been out here for so long, I apologize. Rain doesn't really cut it. I really need soap of some kind. So I'm sorry if my smell offends you at all.
Goblins don't apologize.
Oh. What are you?
What are you?
I know.
Are you hungry?
Mm-hmm.
The Tabaxi Ranger gets just close enough to you to drop a dead bird at your feet. Make a wisdom saving throw.
22.
Something isn't right, Doddle. You feel yourself shielding your heart. And though you want nothing more than to remember the glory of Evermeet, you keep it safe, shielded and protected. But you remember something else. You and your companions have made your way to the Golden Owl. In the back room is a library. The library of that tavern is filled with the treasure that the owner, Tamara Woolchrist, has gathered over the years. But she, unlike many tavern keepers, doesn't seek to put animal heads on the wall or to fill her pockets with silver. To her, the treasure is the tales and stories and histories of the land. And in the Golden Owl, in the southern ward of Waterdeep, many come to find not only a good meal at a reasonable rate and a soft bed for the night, but the knowledge that has been gathered by a group of adventurers that have traveled throughout Faerun and lived long lives of adventure, bringing back the tomes and scrolls and books that have been collected over their long years of journeying. You stand there in the tavern. Tamara smiles brightly at you. And off to the side, sweeping in a corner, is a straw-headed young boy with a broom. They've seen your face. They're not frightened by you. Your companions are asleep upstairs. Working slowly behind the bar is a turtle wearing an apron. The turtle folk moves as many of his people move, with a slow, deliberate determination of the years that they carry with them. Polishing the bar is an afternoon's task, but it is done meticulously and perfectly. Duddle, you stand there, confused in the moment, looking about, and you realize you'd offered to work here. The apron is tied around your waist, and in your hand is a dish rag. Tamara looks at you. Those dishes aren't going to take care of themselves, Doddle.
Oh, you're right. I apologize. Put the rag on the top of my head. I don't have pockets in the kitchen. All right. I see all the dishes?
Yes, and it is a monumental pile of plates and bowls that have been stacked as high as you can see, and your small goblin form with your clumsy hands grabs onto a stack of plates and continues your job, which was to wash. Of course it was to wash these dishes.
How hard can washing a dish be?
Make a dexterity saving throw.
That's an 18.
You managed to move all of the plates over to the soapy water without a problem. And you're washing them well. Something seems wrong, though, Doddle. And in the bar, sitting there, Hawk, you find yourself lost in thought. Thinking about the things that have happened. About how MacLeod nearly died in the sewers below. About the strange box that is sitting upstairs, hidden in Doddle's cupboard. MacLeod, you're reading. You've barricaded the door. You do not trust that halfling. You know that they're planning something and that they're watching you. You've discovered that the walls here within the Golden Owl are hollow, with secret passages strewn across the tavern. What do you do?
MacLeod is hiding all of his research about Teowin and starts scribbling fake notes in the hopes that if someone is watching them, they're going to think that they're the real notes and they're gonna be misled. He's trying to lead everyone on a wild goose chase when he knows where to go.
Make a wisdom saving throw, MacLeod.
8.
Hawk, you sit at the bar lost in thought. And somewhere, you hear an explosion of fire. And the screams of a battlefield. You're still within the Golden Owl Tavern. And it sounds like it's outside.
I'm going to immediately get up and rush to the source of it and pull out my greatsword.
In your hand, there is a very slight hum as the sword is unsheathed. And the shadows in the room grow darker, it seems. The flicker from all of the lanterns and the warm hearth dull ever so slightly as this blade is drawn.
Everybody, stay in here.
The turtle polishing the bar looks at you, and as you run out, I'm fairly sure that everything is all right. And he turns, and you are already out the door. You run out into the streets of Waterdeep. And you see a cart. And a barrel of wine has fallen out off the back and burst open, and it's leaking into the street. The merchant is cursing and trying to lug it back into the center as a few passers-by stop and aid the merchant. Nothing is happening.
I lash the sword on my back and go back inside.
The moment pauses and you turn back, and as you walk through the door, you step into shadow. Saray, you're looking at Calder. What do you do?
What am I going to do? We're in the crypts, right?
Yes, you're still in the crypt. The fire is still burning brightly within the space, and the young man seems to just be enjoying his great breakfast.
Too human.
Hunched over a pile of cheese.
Too human.
Like a rat.
Okay, I'm gonna walk over to the display of food, and I'm going to take a piece of the bread and just walk back to my spot and enjoy my piece of bread.
Juniper, you see Saray stand and walk across the space, and I need you to make an insight check, please.
Is Cal noticing all of these people just like their souls leaving their bodies for a minute?
To everyone in the space around the fire, there are momentary pregnant pauses, but there's nothing strange about it. It just feels awkward.
5.
5. All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You said insight, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, still fine.
There is an oppressive quality to the air here, and you feel disconnected. Your thoughts wander, and you feel a slight hollowness work its way through your chest as your connection to the Oaken Lord in this dark crypt surrounded by death, far removed from the glory of the growing natural world, deep beneath the ground, mutes all of your senses. And if it was not for the shield by your side, you have no doubt that you would fall into a deep melancholy here very quickly. You do not feel his glory. You do not feel the power of your god. In fact, though you cannot place a finger upon it, there is another force here, strong and present, surrounding you, working its way through these crypts.
Does it feel like what I felt before when I was watching Master Zier say this?
Yes, it feels like that. A cold, hollow emptiness that permeates everything in this place. The same cold emptiness that you have learned to expect from Hawk, and that you're starting to sense from others within your group. What do you do?
Do I have a read on who exactly I feel this from?
You do not. You have failed your insight check.
Oh, of course. June, I pictured her. She was kind of just sitting there, meditating a little bit. She gets up and walks over to Calder. Calder, are you sitting or standing at the moment?
I believe I am now standing over slimy ham and moldy cheese while eating it.
June's just gonna kind of, in the creepiest way possible, I don't know how to explain this, she is going to just kind of lean over you a little bit and just stare into your face. She's definitely analyzing you. I'm trying to figure out if there's just something wrong with you, dude.
I'll just like looks up, like offended again, like, all right, what is wrong with you people? Is there
Honestly, what is going on?
Was there something in this? Did you eat this food? Am I gonna get all weird and paranoid now?
She shakes her finger in Calder's face and is like, "It's not you," and walks over, goes to Saray, and just kind of chills there. She's just watching.
Cal is like supremely a little freaked out now. It's like,
am I conscious right now, or like am I in a dreamscape?
You blink, Doddle, and you seem to have found yourself lingering on the memory of when you found your cookbook.
Okay.
You are now back in the moment, looking at all of your friends, and to you, nothing seems to be out of the ordinary, but you do have a haunting feeling that you're forgetting something important.
Cal, kid, do you want to come sit next to me? You're standing in the middle of the room. It seems like you're kind of in a hot seat and everyone's like just looking at you weird.
yes. It just goes and sits.
Yeah. Do you want us to make that food a little better for you, by the way?
Cal's immediately incredibly skeptical, like, no, this is fine. This is fine.
Sure.
I've
got a spell. Oh, you
eaten
got that
far
one?
worse at sea after a few weeks, maybe even months sometimes. This is nothing. I've had a lot worse than some slimy ham.
Doll, do you have that one spell? I don't prestidigitation.
Why is everybody being weird with Cal?
I would also like to know this.
In my defense, the demon dude just went up and got into Calder's face.
What demon dude? What?
So Hawk is the demon dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that scans.
Not a demon. Demons are different things.
I am speaking, Hawk. And she just puts her hand up. If I can be honest, Calder, I don't know you. But I don't know if you're a good or bad person or not. I'm a little skeptical is all. I just was looking for something.
Fair enough.
Also, Juna's like heavy trust issues.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't call Goblin an orc. Maybe you shouldn't call me a demon, because that's a whole other thing.
I mean, I've seen your bud go fully dark side.
I'm very uncomfortable with the energy that we are creating in this crypt right now. We're just gonna take a breath.
Yeah, can we?
Right.
Is there like, can we go for a walk or something?
Juniper, make a wisdom saving throw.
You've been hanging out with this guy for who knows how long. I've already picked up on the issues that this guy has that might make him act weird, and you're gonna blame me for that behavior? Okay.
Well, I'm not necessarily blaming you.
Then I think with the very fact that Cal is hanging ill with us under this crypt, I mean, I feel like they're already in it quite deep.
Yeah, I'm just
in Waterdeep.
Yeah,
so
right? No, yeah,
Guys,
it was good.
You can laugh all you want, but
are standing in the street. And in front of you is the shattered cart. You hear the guards shouting from the distance, and you realize that they have boxed you in within the streets. MacLeod and Hawk are just a small distance away from you. Juniper, you're standing in the street in the moment where you created a diversion. The cart has been shattered, and MacLeod and Hawk are some distance off, speaking with another of the guard, a captain or a lieutenant that they might know. What do you do?
I'm surrounded, yeah?
The guards are on both sides of the street and slowly closing in around you.
This is important. If there's someone in front of me, is there something behind them that's like not another human being?
There is a mounted guardsman on a horse, and one that is holding a halberd. Halt! In the name of the Code Legal, you are under arrest. Do not move.
Sorry, dude, can't do that. She casts Sacred Flame on his halberd.
There is a burst of divine energies as the Oaken Lord empowers you. And you feel those energies working their way out. And as the sacred flame bursts forth, you find yourself lost, pushing through the cold streets of Waterdeep. Your cloak is wrapped tightly around you. You know that your shield has been trafficked into Waterdeep. More importantly, you realize that things are beginning to align. You think that this may be where you finally meet them. But your visions have been unclear. And even though you've seen the Elven Princess and the others time and time again, you don't know when or where it's going to happen. But you feel, for the first time in a month, that you found your way again, and that your path has been lit. And you know that finding the Shield of Sylvanas is essential to your task and your path. Junior, back around the fire. Momentary pause upon your lips. You forgot what you were going to say, but your companions are around, and Calder is there as well. You were saying something?
Her head's kind of foggy right now, but she just kind of looks to Saray.
Saray, make a wisdom saving throw.
11.
Mm-hmm. You're back at the Golden Owl.
I'm gonna go into that back room area where it was like the library.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go in there.
You step into the library, and there are the same individuals that you often find studying and playing chess. The fire in the open circled area burns brightly and warms the entire room. The wooden ladders that are surrounding this well-maintained library lead up to 3 stories of books. And there are studious tavern patrons that are moving about. Of course, this room is off limits to those that just walk in from the street, and you must be a member to enter. But since you have been working with Fiddle Scratch, you have been given access. You step in and see no one that you recognize other than the common faces that are often here. What would you like to do?
I guess I'm just gonna head up to my room.
MacLeod, your notes are all protected. You have filled binder after binder, book after book with nonsense. Should anyone be listening to you, you'd step back into your room because of the argument that had happened. Busby beeps at you softly.
Oh, you know what they're doing. They have it in their mind that they're going to be doing something with that box, and I don't want any part of it. So I'm here with you for like 5 minutes. How you doing? You doing all right?
A moment shifts. All of you are now surrounding the box. The moment echoes. Doddle, you're in the street. The broken box is in your arms, and you're running through the streets of Waterdeep, your friends left behind. And then you find yourself in the alleyway with the box, and a figure that has been following you steps forward, and the memory plays itself out. He swipes at you with a sword, tries to grab onto you,
Get away from me!
grabs you by the collar, pulls you deeper into the alley. The moment shifts again. The pit that lies in front of you as you watch the dirty dwarven woman fall deeper into the spiked pit, reaches out, and in her eyes, in those last moments, Bretta Brightgleam resigns herself to her own death, knowing that all of you now are safe. Hawk, you watch as the life leaves her eyes, and the shouts of the grasping eye ring out around you in the corridors. All of you rush forward. Saray is on the other end. The treasure chest has been retrieved, but at a great cost. Your guide, the dwarven woman who was kind and strange, perhaps a little mad, has died. The moment shifts again. While solemn, Phineas Fiddlescratch still has the ghost of a smile upon his face as he remembers the stalwart dwarf. The moment shifts again. The golden owl burns in the night. Shadows surround it. Flames lick up towards the sky as the fire brigade and the bells and the shouts from the street conceal your escape. You have to find Doddle. All of you find yourselves around a different fire, there in the crypt. All of you make a wisdom saving throw.
It's an 11.
15.
Unnatural 20.
Nice.
There it is. Now we see. Thank you.
Oh no.
Thank you for showing me the way.
They all hear that?
Everyone hears the voice in their head, just to be clear.
Hawk's going to get up and he's going to pour some water into his hand, place it on Calder's head, and cast protection from good and evil.
Silence rings out after the holy words are spoken, and a dark shadow rises itself around you. Calder, the wet hand of Hawk presses itself up against your forehead, and immediately you feel a burning pain through you as the voice echoing through all of your minds disappears. Calder, you're not sure what's happened. You're confused.
Okay. What the fuck, man?
The last thing that you remember is the old man in the street accosting you. He had worked on the Kraken's Kiss many years ago, and luckily you don't remember what happened.
Calder, you need to... Calder, look at me. Look at
What?
me. Look at me. What was the last thing you remember?
I was outside in the street. I was on my
Outside
way.
in the street. Did anything happen? Do you talk to anything? Did you see anything?
What? Why are we questioning me? What's happening here?
Did anyone hear that, or was that just me?
No,
Calder,
I heard it too.
you might not have been in control of your actions for a good while.
Me, what?
Are they coming here?
They probably are. We need to get everything we need to leave. And we need to warn Grave Masters.
What actions are you talking about?
Calder, you may have been under the control of a mind flayer.
He may have led them to us.
Hey, June, can you help me pack real quick?
All right, all of you start packing
Hawk's trying his best not to show anybody, but like since his hand is on your shoulder and probably still on your forehead, you can feel him like shaking.
Can I grab Calder's hands and say, Calder, we can explain everything later, but just know that things are coming right now.
Calder, the fact that you're alive means a lot right now, okay? You are very lucky, but we need to go.
While June's packing up, she's like, listen, kid, whatever they're saying, if you don't want to die, hurry up and pack.
Oh, shit, all right, okay.
Yeah, but you're not in any trouble, right? I just wanted you to know that you're gonna be safe with us. It's just, there's a lot of fucking dangerous shit that's after us, right?
Saray, you hear it first. The unlocking of the iron gate above. And Besmith's footfalls and the jingle of keys as she comes down the stone steps. The crackle of her torch illuminates the space, and the rest of you then hear. And then you see the twisted, pale face of Besmith, cobbled together with scars and countless years of suffering. Her large, blue, dead-looking eye takes all of you in as she walks down the stairs. Seemingly floating behind her is the black-cloaked figure with a fur collar, long, stringy, balding plait of hair, the gaunt and skeletal form of Grave Master Veer. The ghastly man looks upon all of you, hands steepled together, calmly. We, I'm afraid, must have a conversation before you go. It is of the utmost importance. My hospitality has been broken. And while you may not be welcomed here again, there is a debt that must be paid.
I understand, Grave Master.
What's the debt?
Yeah, and what did we break? As far as I know, we followed all of the rules.
Something was let in. Something was here.
Calder, it wasn't your fault.
If I may,
he looks unsure.
I feel as though you might have known something would come here, if I'm reading you right.
That's very astute.
MacLeod's gonna put his hand on Hulk's shoulder. I assume he's gonna want to speak to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for you outside. I ain't gonna leave without you, alright? But I'm gonna get your stuff packed. I'll be waiting with you, alright?
I grab MacLeod by the shoulder. I lean in. If I don't come back, the goblin has to make it back home.
If you don't make it out,
got it.
I'm gonna be running into this place, guns blazing, to get you out.
No, MacLeod. If anything happens, she gets home. I'm gonna head over to the Grave Master.
I was just
Hawk,
looking
what are you
around at
doing?
everyone like a teenager who's just woken up at 3 p.m. Like,
May I just say that while that whole interaction was happening, like Donald looks at MacLeod, and then looks at Hawk, and then looks at MacLeod's hand on Hawk's shoulder, and then looks at MacLeod, and then looks at Hawk and goes, "Oh my god."
Donald,
Darn you.
Right, Graves Master, can you stop being so fucking cryptic? Right, I assume you want Hawk, right? Okay, we really gotta move now if we're gonna get out.
Okay,
So-
we're also just not gonna give Hawk over.
No one is more aware of your situation than I am. I am very, very aware of the dangers that you have brought here.
Probably didn't help that I threw the fish at you, huh? Damn it.
And
You did
you
what?
want Hawk.
Going to... This is my choice, okay? This is my choice.
How about we let him
Yes.
finish so we know what's going on?
Right.
yeah.
It is your choice, Master Hawk, as is yours, Saray. If you wish for there to be answers, come with me. I will see that you and your companions are on their way safely. The crypts will welcome you deeper, and you will find safe passage. Or you may leave and try your own luck on the streets of Waterdeep. Make your choice.
You have shown us great hospitality so far, Grave Master. I would be very interested to see your way.
Master Hawk.
As would I, Grave Master.
Come with me. And he
What about
turns
our,
and starts walking upstairs.
What about our horse and carriage? Do we need to prepare that, or...
Besmit will care for your belongings. I'm afraid your enemies will not be searching for those.
Thank you, Besmit.
Thank you.
Besmit just nods, and do the two of you walk up the steps with Graves Master Veer?
Yes.
Can I, as Hawk's walking up, can I, like, grab him? You better come back here alive. We got a Donald to save, okay?
Alive. Okay.
Okay. Whatever. And she just, like, lets go of his hand like it's gross.
Donald like is watching all that, and as soon as Juniper lets go of Hawk's hand, she's just like,
I feel like Doddle's cookbook is probably half full of magical spells, and then half full of like shipping, like
Fan
lots of
fiction?
fanfic.
Oh, 100% right.
Oh,
Pretty
my
fan fiction.
Dear Diary, I was hoping we would all become friends, but this is so much better.
I'm like, dear diary, I think all of my friends are polyamorous.
The two of you walk up the stone stairs behind the iron gate, down the long, darkened hallways that are lined with candelabras that burn with black candles, the flames of which float a full inch above the tallow, and into a chamber. very small fire burns in a hearth. There are a number of chairs seated around a table. The Graves Master steps forward and motions for you to enter, and as you do, the cold of the air surrounds you, and the shadows in the room move with life. And
Do
that's
I
where-
recognize these shadows?
That's where we're going to end it.
Ah, that's good.
Damn.
Happy birthday, Momo.
Thank you. Thank you.
I fucking went hard yesterday with the celebrations, so I'm set. I'm good to take a nap.
Did you rewatch Cinderella?
No, not yet. Perhaps that is what I will do tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that was a little bit, I'm sorry for the whiplash that I may have caused with the story stuff, but it was, in my mind, the best way for us to kind of maneuver a lot of different little moments.
That was super.
That was a great
So
way
good.
to introduce
Fucking called
the
it.
story. Holy shit.
I called it. I had it written down.
Oh shit.
You wrote down Golden. Great.
When halfway through the session, I was like, there is something trying to read our past, and I fucking knew it. Like, it was really, yes, MacLeod is correct again. Oh, God.
Yes, you are correct. There was something trying to read your past, something that read your past.
Yeah.
Sorry, Calder, you were the Trojan horse that carried the presence of a mind flayer into the space.
You know what?
Brilliant.
I, no joke, thought you were gonna be a mer creature. I was like, motherfucker. Some weird mer creature that has legs now, and now we have to deal with this.
Next session is because I thought maybe we'd start to get to it, but it's not going to happen. But next session is going to be a good old-fashioned dungeon crawl, and I've got maps and things already set up for you. So be prepared to roll some dice and really get into some mechanical D&D, some strategy and whatnot, as you are going to be on the run, which is a theme. I don't know if you've noticed. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, my boy knows I love some D&D mechanics.
Yeah. And we vacillate back and forth, and that was a lot of role play for the past few sessions. I'm just excited for Calder to throw a punch because that boy's character sheet is pretty beefy.
I'm so excited.
Oh man,
What are they?
Well, you're just gonna have to wait.
Wait and see.
I'm so excited.
Okay, friends, I'd like a nap.
Yeah, have a great night, everybody.
Get out of
Happy
here.
birthday, Momo.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.